In addition to the G7 meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, President Biden also spoke to him in a separate conversation on Monday. The White House says Mr. Biden promised to continue providing advanced air defense systems to Ukraine. Joining me now is CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, Ukrainian President Zelensky requested more advanced air defense systems from President Biden in the G7. Is this a new request or is there, well, I'll just leave it there. Is this a new request?
No, this is something that he's been asking for all along. And the good news for him is that he is going to get what he's looking for. The Pentagon says that they are preparing to provide him with 8 surface-to-air missile systems, often referred to as NASAMS. The problem is that CBS News has learned that it's going to take a while to get these systems to the Ukrainians. The first 2 systems, we're told, probably won't arrive in Ukraine for about a month. And so that means the Ukrainians are going to have to wait even longer. They do have other options at their disposal, but this is something that they have been looking for and asking for quite some time.
President Biden has taken some credit for keeping the coalition together. How did that manifest itself, if it did, today?
Well, they called this meeting with Vladimir Zelensky on short notice. All of the G7 leaders attended it. They put out, not only did they release photos of that virtual meeting, but they released a rather lengthy statement at the conclusion of the meeting, which indicates that these the various administrations from around the world had been discussing this beforehand. So a lot of coordination. The communique is filled with warnings to Vladimir Putin about what would happen if he were, in fact, to use chemical or biological or nuclear weapons. And interestingly, this document also lays out some of the conditions that these G7 leaders now believe have to take place if there is going to be any kind of negotiated solution. You probably remember a couple of days ago, Elon Musk, the entrepreneur business leader, got a lot of negative attention for floating a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine that basically involved everything that Russia might want, very little of what Ukraine might want. Well, the serious issue is that there is concern that that Russia might not ever be willing to come to the negotiating table unless it is guaranteed to get some of the things it wants. And so this was an attempt to pour cold water on that and basically to say that there can't really be any kind of peace unless Ukraine's territorial integrity is respected and Russian war criminals are held to account, and even that some of the rebuilding of Ukraine should be done with Russian dollars. So these are the G7 leaders looking not just at what has transpired over the past few days, but looking months out to say these are some of the kinds of conditions that Russia might have to meet if it wants to bring this to a peaceful close.
Well, that's really interesting. Former Ukrainian Ambassador John Herbst told us that Musk's floating of this idea was a signal to Putin that the West was weakening and getting sick of the war. And it seems like what you just described is an attempt to say no. The West still has a set of demands that Russia must meet. Nancy, let me pivot now and ask you a question about Saudi Arabia, because when President Biden met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, despite the fact that U.S. intelligence says that he directly approved the murder of American journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, Biden administration officials said the meeting would help bring down oil prices because of Saudi Arabia's influence with OPEC. Well, that didn't work. Last week, OPEC cut oil production, which will make gas prices go up. Today, White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that President Biden is now reevaluating the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia. What does that really mean?
What does that mean? That's a question that we had for the White House press secretary as well, and she was very short on specifics. I asked her how long this review is going to take. She didn't have an answer for that. I asked her if the president agrees with Bob Menendez. He's the leader of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He put out a statement arguing that the U.S. should cut off arms sales to Saudi Arabia over this. Also non-committal on that front. It looks like the White House is basically trying to buy time here to figure out exactly how they deal with the fact that this supposed ally has taken a step that appears to them to be more supportive of Russia and its need for more oil revenue quickly than supportive of the position of most G7 and NATO allies and most democracies around the world. It's very difficult. There are a number of strategic needs that the U.S. has that can only be met by Saudi Arabia, so they don't want to break off that relationship completely. At the same time, it is a grave concern, and the president is under a lot of pressure from his own party. Dick Durbin, a top Democrat, longtime Democrat in the Senate, went so far as to say today, John, that that Putin and Saudi Arabia are now working in lockstep. And he said that fist bump between President Biden and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia had basically yielded nothing. So this is definitely a geopolitical challenge for the White House, on top of the ongoing challenge that is posed by the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, one challenge after another for President Nancy Cordes at the White House. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.